right, folks, for the download button of Technology Geek Podcast. Number one podcast on the EMC Radio Network. You heard me, the number one show. And this is our 69th show, 69 of these. So we will be going ahead and we will be hitting 70 here quite shortly. So next week, actually. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. This is, again, this is a solo show this week. Jesse and Randy are both busy. Randy, I believe, is like fluing or something. He's sick, and we don't want him transferring, virus to our computers. That's a joke for those of you. A lot of people, believe it or not, back in the day, a lot of people used to believe that when you got a computer virus, that meant you were actually going to get a virus using the computer. I'm dead serious about that. I'm not lying. And Jesse's got some family matters going on, and I have no other co-host. So we are broadcasting to you from my. I just got back. Actually, I was on the road most of the week this week, and I know Randy and Jesse are going to be listening. So, I'm drinking a sun kiss. So. Swig a sun kiss for the working man. That's an inside joke. They know what I'm talking about. So, a lot of stuff going on in tech. But I got to tell you, folks, I was on the road this past week, and I'm getting the miles on this week. And I had a couple things going on. But first thing I wanted to tell you guys about, well, first of all, you can find all of our podcasts on thetechnologygeek.org. That's the first thing. You can find all of our old shows. Because I know somebody always asks me every week, where can I find the old shows? So, but getting back to what I was talking about. So I was on the road this week. And to tell you a funny story, I was driving down, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the customer, but I was going down to do a job for somebody, and I'm trying to find them on the internet to get their location. I knew roughly where they were, but I'm trying to find them on the internet, and I can't find them. I cannot find a website. I can't find anything. They were like non-existent on the web. So I had to actually call, of all things, directory assistance. Now, I haven't had to call directory assistance in like forever. I actually had to call directory assistance, okay? And I haven't called, directory assistance, you don't have a website? Like, what is it? Like, what year are we in? You don't have a freaking website? I had to call directory assistance, but that's not what tops it off, okay? So I had to call directory assistance. I had to say the name of the person like 6 times because the stupid directory assistance thing doesn't get your, doesn't understand you the first 5 times to tell it to them. So finally, I hit 0. And it's like, would you, for help in English, press 1. Well, I've been doing it in English the whole time. Why do I have to press 1 or 2 now? So press 1. Boop. So if I finally get to a person, like, who are you trying to get to? I tell them. And of course, he says to me, oh, here's the phone number, okay? Now, I didn't realize, okay, by the way, folks, with directory assistance, when they connect you, they charge like $2.99. So I'm like $3 into this thing already. Okay, they don't have a website, this place. Okay, so I finally find them. Okay, I get their number. So I call them and say, hey, do you have a physical address? All right, so I talk to them. I'm like, listen, do you have a physical address? They're like, well, we can give it to you, but it's not going to come up in your GPS. So this place is not available via GPS. And they don't have a website, so I had to call directory assistance. I don't know how I know this place, they don't really rely on walk-ins, but I've never seen a place before where you can't. They said, well, give me your mailing address. They're like, oh, we use a P.O. box. I'm like, this is unbelievable. He's like, do you have a map? Really? Do I have a map? Let me just go get my atlas out of the trunk that's been sitting in there for 5 freaking years. Okay? Do I have a map or an atlas? Well, I've never been asked that question before in my life. Most people are like, oh, do you have a GPS? No. Let me go get my atlas that's in the back of my trunk for the last decade, that I haven't used. And what kind of a question is that? Do you have a map? Do you have an atlas? Okay. So then I said to the guy, I'm like, well, is there anything close to you? And he tells me there's a Burger King across the street. So I said, okay. So I Googled Burger King. That came up. I found where they're located. Okay. Then I managed, to put the GPS in for the Burger King, and that got me where I had to go. Okay? So now I call the guy again, and I'm like, listen, I think I'm by your location. Where are you? Oh, well, there's no sign outside. I'm like, wow. I've never met a place in the world that doesn't want to be found as much as this place does. For a legitimate business, and this place they're quite an established business. They don't have a sign. You can't find them on the internet. I was like, what the heck? It took me over 45 minutes to find this place the other day, which should have been like a 10-minute trip. I've never seen something like this before. So that was my whole travel story this week. I mean, I could start. I know, I've never seen that. I never called directory. I didn't know how to. I actually had to Google, and I couldn't. And then I called my dad. And said, "How the heck do you dial directory assistance?" 411. I know that now, but I didn't know at the time. I haven't had called directory assistance in like forever. I mean, directory, and then this is to top it off. Okay, so I'm driving down there. Okay, Okay, and people. Okay, hands-free means hands-free to talk on the phone, not hands-free to do something else while you're driving. Now, granted, if we're stuck in traffic, okay, I understand that. Okay, but people, I'm watching this lady. She's driving with her knee, texting, and I am on the interstate. Okay, so I'm like looking up, like, change lanes, like I've never seen something like that before. She's driving and texting with her knee. I was like, what the? Hands-free does not mean hands-free to do something else. I mean, you can send a text message with Siri or something like that. Why in the heck texting and driving, I understand that, but unless you're going to have one eye like a chameleon and one eye looking forward, like Robin Williams said, okay, you should not be texting while driving. Now, I truly, honestly, wholeheartedly believe that eventually down the road, 20 years from now, okay, especially with the way texting and all is going, that eventually human evolution is going to allow us to have one eye looking down and one eye looking forward. I really, truly believe that. But right now, we don't have that. So, sorry to tell you. Okay? And, you really hope people are, and like Robin Williams says in his one comment, you hope people are hands-free and not out of their freaking minds, okay? Okay, because you see somebody, you see somebody talking to themselves, you're hoping they're talking to their cousin or their mother or their aunt or something, and they're not like, just going insane. Hopefully they're singing along to the radio. Goodness knows. But that was my whole story. And the funny thing was, too, the interesting thing was I had to make sure I saved the address because I didn't want to go, because I don't know the area. I'm not familiar with the area where I was traveling this week, but I actually had to save the address of the Burger King. So I have a Burger King address. So now every time on my iPhone, because the iPhone looks at places, things you have in your contacts and try to give you suggestions and spotlight. Now that I have a Burger King saved, like all these fast food places keep coming up on my phone every time I go to the spotlight. So I don't know if it's trying to tell me that maybe I should gain more weight or what. Like, I'm not a skinny person, but not overly heavy either. But I was like, okay, so now I'm getting all those things. So maybe I was hysterical. This whole week has just been a disaster with travel. Okay, but we did a seminar this week for the company, teach training and stuff like that for this company on on some new Apple stuff that's coming out and some new software they're getting and some other things they have going on. So they really enjoyed the training. The customer got a lot out of the training, so I'm very happy about that. But that was just finding this place was unbelievable. I just don't know what to say. It was quite a week. Traveling this weekend, but nice accommodations. I can't say anything bad about the company. They really, besides not being able to find them, they put me up in really nice accommodations. Can't complain about that. So a lot going on in the world of tech this week, but again, as I always wanted to. Always want to tell you guys, obviously my book, The Panagram Killer, is out. You can find that on Amazon. It's a really wonderful book. I'm very, very proud of it. I worked really hard on it. It's a murder mystery, and to tell you the truth, I had a lot of downtime this week, in the hotel room and stuff like that, and it was interesting. I got to work out a little bit. But then the other thing is, too, I got to, do a little writing. So I'm about 50 pages into the sequel right now. It's a really great book. It's about a detective who's fairly new on the job, and she uncovers a murder, and she tries to find it. It actually is really good. I'm very proud of it. I've gotten a lot of positive reviews. A lot of people telling me how great of a storyteller I am and stuff like that. I do have some book signings coming up, so check out the website, technologygeek.org. I actually do post a lot of the book signings coming next. A lot of you guys listen to the podcast do want to go to the book signing, so it's all up on the website. So go ahead and take a look on there. You can actually find it. But we got a lot of book signings going on and a lot of other things. So we're really happy about that. But like I said, it's The Panagram Killer. It's on Amazon. You can get it on audiobook, Kindle. You can get it on your iPhone. You can get it on Android. You can get it for all that stuff. So we're available on all platforms. So. And that's something I'm glad we did too. A lot of authors, believe it or not, just post on Kindle and that's it. When I did the book, I wanted to make sure we were available not only on paperback, but we're available as well digitally and all that. I mean, you don't want when you're an author, you want to make your content available however people want it. So I'm really glad we did that. A lot of audiobooks are selling, which is really proud about that. We worked really hard in the audiobook. I have if you're interested in how the audiobook production works, I had a whole show, probably maybe 3-4 podcasts ago with Randy and Jesse. And Randy asked me all about doing how I handle that and how you deal with that. And he really had a lot of good questions and stuff like that. It's really a really nice interview he did with me. It's nice, it was it was great to get to share the experience with everybody. So look it up. It's a really good podcast. So a lot of things going on this week in the world of tech, as there always is, by the way. But this week we have a couple interesting things going on. First and foremost, big news by Microsoft saying that they're actually going to bring their SQL server over to Linux, which is really cool. Now, Microsoft is in an interesting situation. While I was on the road this past week, I actually was reading Paul Allen's book. Those of you guys that don't know, Paul Allen is actually the co-founder of Microsoft. He actually founded the company along with Gates back in the heyday, but he talks about how Microsoft is a different Microsoft now than it was 20 years ago. They're not in the position of power they were. They're still a huge company. They're still making major revenues of it. There's no problem with them producing profit. Talking about how they're not in a position of power like they used to be. But the interesting thing is Microsoft putting SQL on Linux. This is actually, believe it or not, a big thing because they're really competing now with MySQL. And competing as well with Oracle and stuff like that. So this is actually big news because this is going to take a big hit out of those other companies. Adding another player to the game. Microsoft never would have never did this before in the past, but now saying they're going to do it. This is actually really actually big news because it is going to hit Oracle and really going to take a chunk out of some other people in the industry. So it's very interesting to see that. We know that obviously Microsoft took a big hit a few years ago when Cisco ported all their products over to Linux. That was a big hit, believe it or not, for Microsoft. So, Microsoft's got to get back in the game. Microsoft has said many times we're a software company. They are a software company now. They've always been, but now they're really getting to the app business really hard, especially working with Apple again, which has been, they stopped working with Apple in the late 80s. But now working with them again to create software for Apple's products. What's old is new again. So they're doing that again now. And, as well as, they're also working very, very closely. Like I said, now they're starting to adapt. They're starting to make their products for SQL now. They're starting to, move Office into the cloud. They're starting to deal with cloud computing. They're starting to deal with cloud Office. Microsoft, maybe 3-4 years ago, it would have been like, I don't know, Microsoft's an iffy investment. But now, they're on the right path. Satya Nadella really took them in a good direction. And kudos to him, man. Good work for that. So Google Docs actually had a cool thing. Google Docs now can actually export to EPUB. Now, I know that's not a huge deal for a lot of people, but for people like us that are authors, that's actually a really big deal. Because usually what you would have to do is if you wrote something in Google Docs and you wanted to publish it on Kindle or something like that, Kindle and like Apple only do ePublisher format. So you would actually have to either bring it into OpenOffice and convert it, or you would actually have to go ahead and not only are you converting it, you'd have to copy and paste it out of there and all that. So it was a kind of an extra step you didn't have to do. So this is actually pretty cool. EPUB format, is going to be available now as an export option. Despite complexity upon XML-based nature of formats, that's why PDF does so well. That's why if you notice, from day one, Google always did. They always did PDF and Word, but now they're going to EPUB. EPUB is a little more complicated to get it to work, but Google's got the developers. They've got the team that can do this. But yeah, that's actually really big because, EPUB continues to be seen as, a really popular format. And it really is because you have Apple, you have Kindle, you have, all these other publishing apps that they take EPUB format. And, and Google was not supporting it. The only ones that were doing it were Microsoft and OpenOffice. So this is actually another fairly big piece of news this week. Because, again, it's showing them that they're trying to compete. They're trying to make Google Docs into a more of a platform like Word. Now, I'm not going to lie. Being an author, and I have worked with both Google Docs and worked with Word extensively, Google Docs does leave a lot to be desired. But it's getting there. I'm not going to lie. If you said to me, what's the best word processor out there, I would say definitely without a doubt, hands down, it's Word. And not because I'm a big Microsoft fan, it's because I've used both of the platforms. And if you really have any questions, email me. I can spend a whole show just on why it's better. And it has nothing to do with preference. It has to do with functionality. So that's actually pretty big news. Some other big news. Ray Tomlinson, I think I'm saying the last name right, passed away. For those of you guys that don't know, he is actually really the father of email. He's the one that created the email. Back in the day, he invented direct message email back in 1971. He's the one that came up with the @ symbol. So for all of us Twitter fans, we all can be grateful for him. But before him, you couldn't send emails outside your company. Like I can send one to somebody who say was in my company. Before that, you couldn't send it across different companies. Now emailing your buddy that's on Yahoo when you have Google is common. That's commonplace. But before him, it wasn't. And some of these things in technology sometimes I think we take for granted. But if you think about back in before the 70s, you could not. I mean, some of us aren't old enough to remember the 70s, but I remember hearing stories about it. You couldn't send it if your buddy was not in your company. You could not send him an email. So he went ahead and actually kind of unified all that. And by creating the @ symbol and creating subdomains and sources and being able to he really went with that and a wonderful guy, really truly an innovator for this industry, and we're sad to see him go. So DirectTV is actually kind of doing something that's kind of cool. Speaking of people that are innovative, I thought it was kind of neat. This kind of just came across my desk the other day when I was reading the newspaper. Apparently, DirectTV is actually target marketing customers with blacked out channels. Now, we all know DirectTV has had their problems with blacked out channels. You remember they had the issue with, obviously, the Weather Channel. They've had their issues where you couldn't get Spike TV for a while because Spike was blacked out because DirectTV couldn't meet an agreement with them. So they've had their problems as well over the years. But apparently what DirectTV is actually doing now is they're actually saying, they're actually looking at people's service and saying, oh, okay, the people at, I'm just going to use an example, Time Warner have this channel blacked out. Well, we're going to run an ad that says, DirectTV, offers the best service, and we offer these stations which are currently blacked out for you. Kind of a little bit sneaky, but hey, it is a free country. They are paying for the advertising time. And nobody's saying anything to them. But yeah, they've been doing that. So I think that's kind of playing a little bit dirty. But again, they're paying for the ad and nobody's stopping them. So, but yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting thing when I read that. I'm like, wow, talk about target marketing. DirectTV taking it to a whole new level, and you could just tell from the way the ads are designed that was definitely some marketing guy that walked into his boss and said, "Hey, I got an idea how we can seriously up our sales." So that was pretty cool. So hey, good for them. So some news coming out of Uber this week, by the way. Apparently, Uber is going to be launching a service in Pakistan. So if you're in Pakistan now, and I know we do have some out-of-the-country listeners, Pakistan, you're actually going to be able to get Uber, and apparently Uber is launching a motorcycle booking service in Bangalore. Now, I'm not going to lie, I have not Ubered yet. My friend Howard, he was on the show a couple weeks ago. He has Ubered quite a bit in New York and stuff like that, but I have never Ubered yet. But Uber has definitely got the brand recognition. They were actually, funny part is, there was actually a couple times they were mentioned on a Fuller House on Netflix and stuff like that. So they definitely do have the brand recognition. Definitely, but. They're building a company and all that, but again, they're still fighting this very, very uphill battle with these cab companies and all that kind of stuff. But I think they're definitely going to get there over time. It's just going to take them, They're just going to keep fighting this uphill battle. But Uber apparently now is also getting into the motorcycle booking service. And we also know they're also getting into the delivery service as well. They're trying to work with Amazon to help with the package delivery where they're needing it. And they're also trying to as well get into delivering the groceries. If you need groceries delivered or if you need courier service, they're getting into that business as well. So Uber definitely is here to stay. They're not going to go anywhere, that's for sure. But they're definitely changing their business. They're diversifying their business, and rightfully so. You know, they have to do what they have to do. And I have a feeling you're going to see them. You know, eventually. Eventually they're going to be. I think they're going to be in every state, and they're going to be in every country. It's just going to unfortunately be a very uphill battle for them. So, but good for them, man, and diversifying their company. And I think the reason why they're diversifying too is because they realize they're fighting an uphill battle. So while they're waiting for to break down these walls, they're going to have to find other ways to draw in revenue to keep their investors happy. So good for them. Interesting. 4chan founder Chris Poole apparently is going to be working for Google, trying to fix Google social networking, which we all know Google Plus. And this is actually pretty cool. 4chan is actually a huge site. And you remember we talked about Moot. Remember we talked about when Moot left 4chan? That was huge news. Well, this is actually pretty big news too, because Google's never got social for the most part. A lot of people are saying, they threw a lot of resources behind Google Plus, and it just never really worked out for them. But they hired one of the guys behind 4chan. Which 4chan was a major online site. I mean, I remember the guy. I think this guy started it when he was like 15 or something like that. And they built in 12 years. They built that up to like a $20 million active user. I think they have 20 million. I think 4chan is like let me pull the article up. Yeah, they have 20 million active users, which that is a huge number when you really think about it. I mean, 20 million. I mean, that's like on par with the amount of subscribers that Netflix has. Nowhere near as many as Facebook has, and he'll be working, under, I think it's Bradley Horsowitz, who I believe I saying the last name right. And apparently he's going to try to help Google Plus kind of, get that back on track and make it a big social network and all that. Now, Google has been talking about for quite a while turning Google Plus into kind of like a forum rather than a social network. Now, there have been talks about that. Now, if they're trying to turn Google Plus into more of a forum and more of a Google Groups than they are trying to turn it into a social network like Facebook, they definitely hired the right guy. No doubt about it. I mean, this guy, Chris Poole and Moot, those guys, I mean, they are the kings of, they have the largest forums on the internet. So, good for those guys. And for them, I hope, I really hope it works out. And I hope it works out for Google too, because, these guys are, I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit of a fanboy of 4chan. And these guys definitely know how to build a social network. Maybe not like a Facebook does, but a forum-based system. And like I said, if this is the way Google wants to go, which is what they said in their earnings report a couple of years ago, that they wanted to turn Google Plus. About a year ago, they said they wanted to turn Google Plus into like a group thing, kind of a forum kind of style, just more advanced. And if that's the case, they definitely hired the right guy. And it's cool to see what he does with that. I'm actually kind of, not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of excited about Google Plus again. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I love Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts is by far, we talked about this last week, superior to Skype. But I'm not gonna lie, Hangouts is amazing. But I'm not gonna lie, their social network lags a lot. And part of the reason why the social network lags is because there's just no users there. There's not a lot of people rushing to Google Plus. There's just not, So, I think they have to kind of, they have to do something. And if they're going to turn it into a forum, I think that would be great for Google. I think Google has the user base. And I think the average Google user, I hate to say this, when you go on Google Plus, your average Google Plus user tends to be very techie, it tends to be your techies, your authors, and all that. Very rare, and I hate to say this, don't take this the wrong way, I don't want to get fracked, but very rare do you catch housewives on there. Okay, most of your Google Plus people are techies, hardcore readers, hardcore gamers. Those are the people that are using Google Plus. So they can make a forum, because generally forums aren't just people that are there to hang out. Forums are there people that are there to get questions and answers. That's how forums started. They started with people that went on there to learn about computers. That's how forums got started. For those of you that don't know, give you a little history lesson. So I think Google does have the intelligent user base to do something like this. They just have to roll it out properly, and I think they have the right guy there. So something else talking about users that was kind of interesting this week that I thought was kind of funny. Apparently, there's a piece of ransomware that Apple has not patched against just yet. And it's a ransomware that is making you pay the ransom to actually go ahead and get your computer back. Now, those of you that say, Apple doesn't get viruses, well, they're trying to get a large chunk of the market, so they are starting to get viruses. But that's not the point. Well, a lot of these companies, specifically Palo Alto, who is a major networking company in the industry, they've got a lot of major companies that do that. They're pretty big. I think they're like the 10th largest firewall company in the world. They're slowly going to be number 9 soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if they trample would be number 8. What they actually did was to protect their users. They actually went ahead and actually released a patch to actually protect people against the Apple ransomware. They said, well, if Apple's not going to pass the software, well, we're going to protect our users because we're a firewall. We get, people are paying us to protect them. So if Apple's not going to patch it yet, and Apple hasn't, we're going to go ahead and update our firewall to protect people. So I thought that was really neat. And a couple other firewall companies are following suit in doing that as well. So I thought that was a very interesting thing as well, that they were actually trying to go ahead and they're trying to patch their systems before the OEM patches theirs. So I thought that was kind of cool. And it's neat to see, these firewall companies being proactive, which is what they should be. I mean, they're getting paid buku bucks for their technology. They should be. But I thought that was really neat to see a company that actually says, we'll do it. One of the things that Palo Alto is doing that's really, really cool that a lot of companies aren't. Now, I have a little bit of a background with Palo Alto, not a lot. And I mean, a spec. I think I messed with one once. Palo Alto, actually what they do is with their firewalls, you actually connect it online, and every night it does updates right from online. Now, and that is actually really, really cool. The firewall actually protects itself. It updates its virus database. It updates its firewall database every night. A lot of companies like Juniper and stuff still don't do that yet, so that's kind of something different that Palo Alto is doing. A lot of firewall companies are following suit. Cisco's starting to do it now, and a couple of the others are as well. I don't think HP does it yet, but a lot of the other firewall companies are actually starting to do it. And they're starting to follow suit with Palo Alto. So they're really starting to create a trend, which is really, really cool. And good for them. That's, innovation like that is what drives you to be, number 10, 9, 8, rather than being, the 20th. So something interesting, too, as well. Facebook apparently fixed a bug this week that allowed users to set other users' passwords. Now, this was an interesting little bug that came out that I guess somebody found, and they did a bug. Facebook does that bug bounty. Well, they paid somebody $1,500. The independent security researcher discovered a simple way of resetting passwords for other people's Facebook accounts, setting a new passphrase, and efficiently taking over profiles. The problem was, in fact, that Facebook also runs a beta platform on beta.facebook.com. The platform's reset password feature did not include brute force protection and allowed anyone to guess a 6-digit verification code sent to someone's phone when resetting the password. The issue also raises another question: is how many unsafe features are on Facebook's beta platform that have not been patched simultaneously with the main platform. So that was something neat that I heard. And if you go to beta, and I've actually been there, if you go to beta.facebook.com, which is kind of interesting, and you go there, you can actually kind of tell it's beta because when you go there, you can see that a lot of it's really kind of, clunky. The only word I can think of to describe. It's kind of clunky, but it's pretty. But you can actually go there and tinker around with Facebook. And what this is Facebook's beta where you're allowed to mess around and stuff like that. But again, you got to be careful because you can always have holes in it. So I don't recommend using it all the time. But if you want to see what it looks like, it actually is pretty neat. It looks a little raw because not all the features work because it is beta, but it is pretty cool. So some other things going on, and I thought this was kind of neat. Apparently, the Altair 8800 kits are actually available to actually be purchased. So for those of you like me that like to build kits, you can actually buy a replica Altair 8800 kit. Now, for those of you who say, what's an Altair? Altair was one of the first computers out ever in history. Well, one of the first microcomputers, mini computers, whatever you want to call it. And it was one of the first ones that Microsoft built their software platform, BASIC, to work on. And now they're apparently selling replica kits for people that want to build them. They're not available yet, but they will be soon. And you can go to altairkit.com, and they have replica 8800 and I think 8400 kits. They've got two different kits depending on what you want to do. And they've got replica kits you can actually get and create replicas of, which would be a lot of fun. They're a lot of good time. I enjoy working on kits, but I thought it was neat because most of your kits are either, electronic kits. You don't really have too many computer kits, but this is actually pretty cool. So for those guys out there that listen, that I know there's a bunch of you out there that like kits like I do, we can actually start building our Altair kits pretty soon. So one of the things I do want to talk about, folks, quickly, for those of you guys that ever watched the Silicon Valley show, that's coming on, I believe, sometime this month. I don't know when yet. I think it's later on in the month. But Silicon Valley is actually going to be back on HBO again. That's actually a really cool show. They throw a lot of neat tech stuff in there. I mean, it's not 100% accurate, obviously, because it's a TV show, but a lot of stuff that you see on there, they throw a lot of little tidbits in there and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun. And they do take a lot of the, a lot of the guys that are on that show, they do take them, and they, like the one guy was on there supposed to represent Mark Cuban, the one guy on there is supposed to be Jeff Benzo. They don't take the names, but they actually take, it's kind of fun. It's a lot of fun. Watch it if you have HBO. It's a lot of fun. Also, too, guys, for those of you that are huge Michael Connelly fans like me, also, too, Bosch released today. And I will be binge watching that over the weekend if I have time. Bosch is one of my favorite. Bosch is obviously written by Michael Connelly. It's on Amazon Prime. So in my opinion, it's one of the best online series out there. And I really mean that not just because it's Michael Connelly, just because it's very, very, very well done. And actually, like I said, it's Bosch and it's on Amazon Prime. It follows a homicide detective around through his career. It's got Titus, I believe it's Titus Wilver, or... and I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I apologize. The last name's hard to pronounce. But he's on there. It's got a lot of really big name actors on it. And the show, I mean, it's really, really well done. If you like cop shows, it's very, very well worth the watch. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. It's not going to cost you anything. But it really is a good time. Check it out. It actually is a really good show and really well done. Also, too, today, CW announced that they're renewing... obviously, they're renewing Flash, they're renewing Arrow, they're renewing Legends of Tomorrow, iZombie. So they're renewing a lot of big things. So that was big news. Also, too, as far as TV news, also, too, kind of interesting, which I thought kind of was interesting, is Spider-Man now apparently is going to be on the Avengers this year. That was huge. A lot of people have been waiting for that. I know people have been, crazy about, Spider-Man, where's Spider-Man? Well, guess what? Now in the new Avengers movie, you're going to get Spider-Man. And somehow, or not in the new Avengers movie, excuse me, the new Captain America movie. What I think is interesting is they've kept that movie's been done filming for a while, and they've kept that hidden this whole time. So kudos to the studio for able to getting everybody to make sure that nobody leaked that, because that was actually huge news. That was all the buzz today on the internet last night and today. So that's pretty huge. Speaking of TV news as well, I'm talking about the new Captain America. Something else that I thought was interesting is Reddit really lit up yesterday, and I mean that. It literally went crazy. It really lit up with Ant-Man. If you notice, there's one scene during the Captain American trailer where he shoots the arrow and Ant-Man's on it and he's flying through on the arrow. and he's he lands on Tony's head and then grows bigger and punches him. In the comic books, that was a famous scene where Ant-Man would jump on the top of Hawkeye's arrow and he would shoot him through, and Ant-Man would hang on to the top of the arrow and then grow big right at the last second and punch the guy. That is a huge scene in the comic books, and then they redid it when they created the animated series. They made sure to redo that one scene. They make sure, because everybody loved it so much from the comics. Well, Reddit lit up the other day when everybody saw that, and all the memes and everything have just been insane. Everybody splicing clips together and all that. I mean, just that one couple second moment on that trailer, just lit the internet up. And then to top that off, to Spider-Man being at the end of it as well, it really got just the attention it got on the internet was just amazing. So good for those guys. But, I think it's really neat that Josh, all those guys that work with Downey, all those guys, everybody that's working on that set does a phenomenal job on that show. And the directors do a great job and all that. But they remember to bring these little things from the comics into the movie. And that's what really makes it, as a comic book fan, make you want to go. Because the directors, the actors, they give you those little itty-bitty tidbits that you want to see. So that's really cool. By the way, speaking of TV personalities and actors, apparently Chum Lee from Pawn Stars got arrested, and it was all the rave on the internet today. Again, I'm not privy to a lot of what happened, but I just saw on the internet that was all of the rave today too. It's amazing what gets trending. So now I got off topic again. So something else I wanted to say, kind of neat. McDonald's is sort of adapted with the times. And what I mean by that is McDonald's now is actually doing their Happy Meal boxes are going to be virtual reality sets. So we all know about Google Cardboard. Well, what McDonald's is doing is McDonald's is actually taking their Happy Meal boxes and turning them into Google Cardboard boxes. So kids with Android phones can actually turn them into virtual reality headsets, which is pretty cool. So I thought that was kind of really neat that McDonald's is going to be turning their Happy Meal boxes into like virtual. So if your kid's sitting there, your kid and your parents have an Android, you actually download the Google Cardboard app, stick it in the kid's box, and then the kid actually can play with virtual reality while you're sitting there enjoying your burger. So that's pretty neat as well. Something else, speaking of virtual reality, Microsoft apparently saying, hey, HoloLens is going to be available for software developers very soon. I'm very curious to see. I know Microsoft, if they're going to be doing stuff with Minecraft, I mean, they have to be. I mean, HoloLens can turn any flat surface into a buildable space. Now, they're going to be doing something with Minecraft this. And if they have to be. I mean, if they didn't, they'd just be crazy not to. I'll be curious to see how that sounds, how that works out. I'm sure, I would imagine that a lot of people, Minecraft has this huge cult following. I would be very, very, very surprised if that thing didn't go on sale and people chewed it up like crazy, especially the Minecraft lovers. So Microsoft, now speaking of that, I was talking about Microsoft. Microsoft Surface, surprisingly enough, said one of their biggest apps is the New York Times crossword puzzle app. That surprised me. Now, I know a lot of us really do, we enjoy our crossword puzzles and all that, especially, us newspaper readers and all that. But apparently that Microsoft Surface's biggest app is the crossword puzzle app for the Surface. So that was pretty cool. We all know the NFL is pushing them hard and stuff like that. I did a whole podcast a couple weeks ago on the Microsoft Surface and the NFL. But yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. So some other things too, Facebook. One thing that's really neat about Spotify is they're always innovating. And one of the things Spotify actually did recently on their app, which was actually kind of mainstream, actually kind of was like trending number one on Facebook, was apparently now you can actually use Spotify and send somebody a message. So say Brandy from Grolix, say I wanted to send him a song to listen to. You can send him a song right through the Facebook Messenger. So you're in Spotify, say, hey, check this out. Share, Messenger, boom, done. So that's really neat. And one of the things Spotify's really doing, they're integrating everything. I mean, they're integrating into the Echo, the Amazon Echo. They're integrating into, they're on the Roku. They're on everything. I think they may be on their Chromecast now. So it's actually really cool that they're so innovative with stuff. And that was kind of interesting is Steve Wozniak was just talking the other day saying that he thinks that the next thing, the next big thing that's going to knock, like he said, the first thing was PCs, then it was Windows, and it was iPhone. He really thinks that the Amazon Echo is the next big thing in computing. He actually said that's Steve Wozniak saying that, so that's pretty cool. Steve Woz, if anybody knows the computer industry, it's Woz. So that was pretty cool. One of the things, too, that I thought was, something that I thought was kind of interesting was that, speaking of televisions, apparently Skype is going to stop supporting smart TVs on June 1st. They said they're not supporting the smart TV anymore. It could be probably maybe because they don't have enough people. I don't know what the deal is with that, but apparently they're going to actually not be supporting smart TVs anymore as of June 1st. So those of you that do a lot of Skyping via your TV, you're going to be in a little trouble. So that's kind of interesting. Some other thing too, Facebook Messenger. We just talked about that. I should have bundled these apps, bundled this whole news together. Apparently, Facebook says that they launched an update for Facebook Messenger to make the design of Facebook Messenger look more Android-like and not iOS-like. I thought that was neat. So they didn't redesign their iOS app, just their Android one to make it look more Android. I thought that was kind of an interesting turn of events that they did there. I thought that was kind of interesting. But like I said, apparently too, Sony, big news with Sony this week. Apparently, in 2011, when the Sony network breach happened, they offered people free codes that they can get stuff for free. Well, apparently those codes have been deactivated now. Apparently, Sony found out that people were using those codes to actually unfairly get stuff they should, they were sharing with them with their friends and stuff like that. So they discontinued them. So I thought that was something I never knew about. But again, I'm not a really big gamer. So some other news that was out as well this week. Apparently, Steve Ballmer apparently is crying because apparently he was a big investor in Twitter. And we talked about Twitter last week on the AMA when you guys asked me what stocks I thought would be actually good to buy. And I said, stay away from Twitter. Well, apparently, Steve Ballmer's lost like $600 million. Now, granted, he's a billionaire, so my heart bleeds for him. But he lost like $600 million so far with this Twitter stock crash. Twitter's not doing very well, so the stock has just been tanking. Well, apparently, Mr. Ballmer has lost about $600 million on Twitter. So I thought that was pretty fun. They say the article said he was traumatized by it. But hey, he owns a basketball team. Just charge a little extra for your season tickets. You'll make up for it. So something else that came, Google actually made a big announcement that they updated their Nest. The Nest to actually allow multi-user. Now, I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently they're allowing the Nest now multi-user. And apparently, if somebody sets the thing manually and hits manual set or something like that, it's going to show you that there's more than one person using it. So if you go to adjust it, you may say, "Oh, hey, somebody just set it at the house a couple minutes ago." So apparently, Nest came out with a lot of updates this past week for multi-user and doing a lot of other interesting things. And apparently, they're saying that people have been waiting a very, very long time for these updates. So those of you that were waiting, congrats, it's here. So something else, too, interesting as well is Apple confirmed this week that apparently turning off your apps, killing your apps on your phone, does not conserve any battery life. Now, for years, we've been hearing from people, if you want to save battery life, close your apps, close your apps, close your apps. Well, apparently, Apple confirmed that it does not save squat. So, those of you that are still closing your apps to try to save battery, don't bother. Leave your podcast app open. Leave it open. Don't close it. Listen to more podcasts. You don't need to worry about saving battery life because you're not conserving anything. Maybe you're conserving your data. That's possible. So, interesting thing. Apparently, Amazon went down for 20 minutes on Thursday. Now, I don't know why they went down. They haven't said why they went down. Maybe because they uploaded Bosch and everybody all trying to watch it. No, kidding. It'd be cool if Bosch was that popular, but I don't think that was it. But apparently, Amazon went down for 20 minutes, and apparently they say it was the first outage in history to ever actually get noticed worldwide. They were down for 20 minutes, and they said it got more notice in 20 minutes than any other outage so far ever in history. That shows you the user base that they have. But here's the interesting part of that. I'd be curious to see like Google, not YouTube or anything like that, but I'd be curious if like Google.com went down for like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, how many people would be affected by it? Because a lot of people use Google as like the internet. A lot of people think Google's the internet. Like I've actually had people say to me, "Oh, I use Google a lot. It's free, right?" So I'd be curious to see. Amazon has 20 minutes and the world freaks, and everybody knows about it. But what if Google went down for like 10 minutes? Would the internet just shut down? It'd be curious to see what would happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but it'd be neat to see what actually happens. Another thing too, interesting. Diablo 2. Which is a very popular video game platform, got a very popular video game. That was out when I was in college. I'm old. It was out when I was in college. I remember when it first came out. Apparently, that's the first patch it's gotten in 4 years. Apparently included a new installer for Mac OS X. Apparently, it's Blizzard's still working on to improve cheat detection and hack prevention in the game. There's a lot of things they're working on. Diablo's last updated in 2011. I'm old. I was in college in 2003, and it was huge back then. We used to have LAN parties. If you want to know what a LAN party is, kids, go ask your parents. They'll tell you. So, because not a lot of people had high-speed internet back then, so you had a LAN party. A bunch of your friends came over, you hooked all your computers together, and you socialized. It was a lot of fun. So something else that was interesting is apparently Windows 10 released an update, a patch, that actually enabled ad generator. Now, they've been talking about this. Windows 10 is giving it away for free, but they want to start having ads on Windows 10, on the lock screen and on like the system area screen. And there's a lot of free real estate on your desktop. Well, apparently Microsoft has been very aggressive in getting Windows 7 and 8 users to upgrade to 10. The company introduced Get 10 system tray icon. We all remember that. But apparently the latest trick is a critical update, KB3139929, is actually a security update for an Explorer, but it also deploys another patch to you included with you kind of get both at once. It kind of like hooks you in. KB3146449, which is an advertisement generator for Internet Explorer. It also has an advertisement banner on your lock screen, on your login screen. It also has a blue banner when a user opens a new tab saying Microsoft recommends upgrading to 10. We all remember that. But they're also, like I said, they are, this all this free real estate that you get on your desktop. There's a reason Microsoft's been clearing off and making a lot of free space because they're going to run ads there. I know you guys are like, oh, come on. I'm sure there'll be a hack for it eventually to get rid of them. But for right now, you're getting them. So, Windows 10 is free, but you're going to get the ads. So, like I said, and you kind of knew Microsoft was going to do something like this. They wanted to do the Google model where we'll give it away for free, but charge with the ads. Same thing with everything, a lot of things in the app. So the app's free, but the ads you get hit with all the time. That's the same thing. Microsoft wanted to do this for years, and they finally got it with Windows 10. Again, it's a different Microsoft than it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Microsoft was not doing well at all. Now they're rebounding and they've got a new CEO, new leadership, and it's working out for them. But yes, apparently your Windows 10 is going to start having ads, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to get ads with free. You want a free thing? That's what you get. So I want to wrap up this podcast So I want to thank everybody for listening. Again, I want to remind everybody about my book, The Panagram Killer, Pangram. It's on Amazon. It's available in audiobook, Kindle, paperback, however you feel comfortable. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. I know a lot of you guys have bought it because you listen to the show. I appreciate it. I've worked very hard on it. I've got a sequel coming out to it as well. And like I said, I really appreciate it. You guys buying it and helping me, help and support the show pretty much, with doing it. So I appreciate that. Believe me, I'm not getting rich on it. But again, I want to thank you guys for listening. So you can find all of our shows at thetechnology.org. Obviously, the EMC Podcast Network. Check out those guys, Grolix. They're a wonderful show. They're a comic book podcast. If you like comics, they're definitely the show to listen to. Like I said, I want to thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.